Welcome to People Rising for April 21st.
Yes. I'm excited. Hi, everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I'm trying not to leave people out because they're coming for me afterwards. Hi, I'm so excited that everyone's getting a chance to join us today, wherever you're joining, whether it's live or the replay.
Yeah, please ask us your questions, put in your comments. Oops, wait, hold on. I'm not ready. Yes. I'm so excited to bring people in. I have to wait till they're actually on the screen. Welcome today. We're having a conversation about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Here we go. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Well, Michael Rossi. Okay, hold on. For the let me just note Michael, who is, I believe he's my brother. I really do. Michael is chiming in from the UK. So this is late on a Friday night chiming in. This is love. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael. In the UK.
In the UK.
Welcome. It's not that late in the UK. It's only 6.
It's Friday night. I would be ditching us.
Well, he might be ditching us in an hour when it's over. Hi, Kim.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
I'm ready for Friday.
Yes.
Very ready. It's one of the challenges of an afternoon show on Friday.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. So, hey, 6 p.m. Hey, there we go.
6 p.m. All right.
I love it. We're talking about artificial intelligence and, the fears that people may have or the excitement that they may have. I am a little sorry that Peter isn't here because, Peter is an aggressive user.
Yes.
Which I'm not knocking by any stretch of imagination. In fact, I encourage anyone who I encourage you to try to get access to these things now and start using them. It can be scary.
Yeah.
Something new, can be scary. But I am forcing myself to do it. So I have been using Chat GPT here and there. Actually, I meant to. You know what I wanted to tell you about Chat GPT?
What's that?
Hey, Deborah. The event card, that blurb was generated by Chat GPT.
Oh.
Yeah, I used it to generate the blurb.
Okay. I'm not there yet. I'm just going to confess right now. And, when we're thinking about this topic for today with AI, and I also, let me just put it out there, part of my background is I used to be an engineer, so I don't have any reason to be afraid of AI. But I thought, me and Michael, we're in the same space. So I was, before we even got to like which tools to use, I was thinking about what some of the angst or the perception that people have about AI. And I think what's happened is so this goes back to like something, y'all go back and watch the replays because Linwood talks about this all the time about coming in the digital space and really innovating and the shifts and changes and journey that we've been on. So if you were around in like late 80s, early 90s, when I was around doing ISDN, okay, the mentality around AI and the concerns about, this basically robots taking over, humanoid input, right? And we were raised really in that time on garbage in, garbage out, Linwood. So it was, where's this information coming from? Right. And how is it feeding out? I still think that there are a lot of folks that still have to get over that fear of not understanding what AI is before they even get to the tools and really grasping the benefits. So I definitely want to hear more about the chat function and how, and I know that it does make a difference in terms of how we pour out language, but I was even thinking about like, I'm a writer at heart. So hold on. Does that mean that this tool is going to take over? How does that work? But anyway, I'm just throwing it out there about wow, Jermaine.
Jermaine, okay, drop some of the names and some of the tools that you're using. So people will know what kind of tools you're using, and it does save a lot of time, right?
It does.
Some of the things. In fact, I was like struggling, like, what am I going to write? How to write this little blurb I need to write? And I said, oh, let me use ChatGPT. And it was done in like a minute. I did regenerate it because the first version I didn't really care for, but the second one, I tweaked it just a little bit. And that was good. And it was good enough for what I needed. So it was useful in that sense. But I agree with you, Shelly, that you got to pay me for that. Oh, boy.
Yes, we teach that here.
He's becoming an AI consultant. That's part of his journey. Let me make sure All right, Jermaine. I'll follow up with you later. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, separating the fact from the fiction, the science fiction, right? So, in some sense, really, the science fiction around artificial intelligence, goes back to the 60s, right? That's when Star Trek came out, right?
Yes.
And so I don't know if I don't recall whether the computer talked to them. I think they put instructions in, but I don't think it was coming back. Yeah. I'll give you 3. Oh, we're going to get 3. So watch the chat. Oh, I guess wait, hold on. I got to put it up. Jermaine said he's going to give us 3. So that's awesome. Separating the fact from the science fiction is really, I guess, probably Iron Man and Jarvis, right? Oh boy, let's see. Jermaine is.
Not only is Jermaine giving us new things to do, but he's going to give us Jermaine, we'll say yes to that, but you got to give us 4.
Yeah, 4. Yeah, I'm happy to share. With the 100 Black Men, of course. Yeah. I'm a member, obviously, of the one. Well, maybe not obviously, but I am. So what? Jermaine, fact from fiction. Okay, so just as an aside, right? Remember the StarTAC, Motorola StarTAC phone? Yeah. When that came out, I was like, this is a communicator. This is from Star Trek. That's what this is. Anyway, so now if we can just get phasers and have everyone set to stun.
Right. Well, don't we though? Don't we have that?
Right. So we have something different than what's going on. That's not the same. Jarvis, we are a long way away from Jarvis. I don't even know. Okay, but just so
you might have to
Iron Man, Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark, interacts with his computer, and the computer's name is Jarvis. It's not a real computer. It's played by an actor, Paul Bellamy, who's just reading lines. So it's not an actual computer doing anything. But was there an opening question?
Oh, for Deborah.
Yes. The opening question is that what we're starting off with is the fact from the fiction. Like what is, I think we're saying is, what is ChatGPT? What is that type of artificial intelligence? What does that mean? And then we have Jermaine giving us these are 4 AI apps to take a look other, than ChatGPT. Actually, this kind of speaks a little bit to what generative AI, what these tools are. These, I think they're called large language models, LLMs, what these tools are. So there isn't anything, and I am no expert. Let me start. with the qualifier that I am not an expert on artificial intelligence. I have been engaging in these conversations. So what you're hearing is all, what I've heard somebody else say who is an expert, or reading that I've done. I may make some mistakes here. Feel free to correct me if you know differently out there. So these tools are not actually very intelligent. Okay, what's happening is they are using large language model, large sets of information, and scanning that information very quickly, and based on your prompt that you put into the system, putting together a sentence based on very high probabilities. And in fact, they're putting the sentence together based on probabilities of the words. And I recently read that it's not even reading the words. It's just it doesn't know what those words mean. It's just putting the words together. And so it is still garbage in, garbage out. I mean, depending on what input has been put into the system, where the information is coming from, that's the prompt that you're going to get back, which is why there are sometimes errors.
Yeah.
So, when you are using these tools, it's helpful to who LinkedIn user, tell us your name. Who are you? With the wave. When you have to kind of know enough to know whether what they're giving, what the machine is giving back to you, makes any sense.
Yeah. There's also a lot of copycat services. That is one thing and I see this now. I watch this on LinkedIn, where it feels like someone played with something and it worked and it created a beautiful article, and then they're on LinkedIn championing it as if they just
if they
please don't. Yes, if they just and you're reading it through your human eyes and going, but your grammar is wrong. Like it doesn't. Yeah. It's not the end all be all. So just, if there are I would say reputable sites that would have information about different types of generative AI tools that you could use for free, because I'm also not paying for this. So I still go to places like Fast Company because they have a good list. So for those of you all who are trying to figure out the different types of tools or where you can find information, go to reputable sources. Don't just go on, again, no shade to engineer. If you're an engineer on LinkedIn and this is your specialty, then shout out and let us know what we're doing. But otherwise, if you're just getting caught up in everyone's trying it, and then you're just spewing mess, you're just spewing garbage, then maybe that's not the tool for you. And you still have to, good point, Deborah. As with most approaches, it's good to triangulate. AI responses can Deborah knows she knows what I'm saying. Deborah, AI responses can get us started, experiences, expertise, research, the reputable sources. Yeah, you still have to do some of the legwork. I will say that on one of so I have a page on a community called Parade Deck, and we have we do use that team uses Chat GTP to generate the blogs, because the blogs that we have on that site, because one of my other things I do, I'm a content creator, a podcaster, they pull from some of those different podcasts that we do to create reels, and they create a blog. So it's interactive. So there's video, but there's a story, and then there's a transcript. And so they might use oh my gosh. They might use this AI tool as, in that instance, but for Michael, like for some of the work that you're doing, it would work very well, because I could easily see you doing the same thing, using that AI tool to create this article or something to support what you're doing in your world. And it works well for that, but you still have to go back through and, do the typical grammar check. I also, whenever I see some of those articles, it doesn't reflect the storyteller. So
Sorry, my bad.
that's okay. I'm and because I'm so big on, you know, your branding and your storytelling and your identity and authenticity and all that. That's the other area, is just go back and make sure that it is reflecting the actual storyteller and it doesn't read like Len Wood wrote Shelley's article, right? Has to have some personality behind that. Otherwise, it does end up hurting your authenticity over time, because then everyone's like, right, you just used a bot to write something, and you know it's not authentic.
Yeah, I wrote this article a few weeks ago that you can't really see. It's the title of the article is "Has ChatGPT duped you? Don't get suckered. Check the experts," right? Because you're gonna, you know, as with anything, any kind of tool, something new comes out, people are going to use that tool to put one over on you, and you really should look out for that. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. But I think, I mean, that's my basic understanding of what the tool is actually doing. I mean, I would never take anything that I put into ChatGPT, anything that comes out of it, I am reading it. You know, I'm not just going to take it and put it on. And if something doesn't make sense, I'm going to correct it. But I'm generally prompting ChatGPT with things that I am knowledgeable about. So I'm really just looking for a little help in, you know, structuring, or maybe help ask some questions, or we used it as a group for titles.
Okay.
For different programs that we might have when we were brainstorming what kind of topics we would cover on this on this podcast. But I know, or this LinkedIn Live, but I know that people have a lot of fears. What are some of the fears that you think people have out there about this technology and how it's going to impact them?
I think if Peter was here, he'd probably talk about within the fear within the recruiting space when it comes to candidates. And so there were questions. There were questions around like the types of questions that were being served up from AI, and was that having any impact in terms of like the language that's used to kind of source or filter through diverse candidates. I'm trying to use like the right language. So that was one consideration. In a comms space, I can tell you from like a corporate comms or brand space, it literally is. It's just back to the storyteller and who that is. And once you lose that, it does actually impact your brand reputation. So it's just, yes, it's okay. I mean, look, use all the tools you want, but you have to tie it back to the authenticity of the storyteller. It's just not that. It's not about like you know, an easy way to just grab a narrative and then you're rolling that out. You still have to, you know, you still have to do the work behind it. But that impact within the recruiting space, I would say, is the one thing that Peter would be all over in terms of AI.
Are people out there still concerned? Because I know there was concern at one time. Are they still concerned that AI is going to take jobs?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking about.
Okay. Yes. It is. Yeah. But I think that also comes from not understanding, again, that it's almost like using a quote from someone and not sharing that you see what I'm saying? Deborah, we're here.
Oh, that's
what it is. That's what it is. Yeah.
It's like using a quote from someone and not sharing what the quote means to you. Yeah, it's not even about necessarily citation.
No.
But there's a disconnect between like the statement and kind of the meaning behind it.
Yes.
Yeah. I always look for that.
Does that fear come with digital transformation or innovation anyway? Like, you know, don't you think that, I mean, regardless of whether it is AI or not, that we all, not we all, but there are folks that have that innate fear that this new thing is going to take something away from me or displace me or something like that, right? Yeah, Deborah, what's your voice? Yeah. Thank you, Deborah.
Well, I think, those fears are well founded because there is doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, we have a long history of technological advance. This new era, the digital era, is a different type of technological advance, but the industrial era was technological advance, right?
Yes.
So whether you're talking about the cotton gin or the steam engine or the printing press, these advances do transform our interactions, in some cases our economic interactions, and some jobs do go away. I mean, just take the word processor, right? There used to be rooms full of people typing.
That's right.
It's all they did was type.
That's right.
All day. And the word processor made all those jobs go away. So the reason I actually use those examples is because they're studying now is whether artificial intelligence, in particular this large language model, whether these LLMs are what they call a general purpose technology. And general purpose technologies are technologies that really have a huge impact on the economy. So like the steam engine is that, of the printing press. Those are types of general purpose technologies. And what happens is you have this general purpose technology, which gets combined with something else, a software program. It gets applied to another application and it gains greater utility. So there are, this analysis that I read, I've been kind of using this as my kind of foundation. It came out in late March. I'll see if I can't get that into the chat. It's called GPTs Are GPTs, an early look at the labor market impact of potential large language models, right? Because that's, my focus is on the impact of technologies, not just on the labor market generally, but okay, if this is going to have an impact on the labor market, then that has implications for my customers, and I want to understand and my business.
Yeah.
Right. It is partially a strategy, right? Because these type of tools, they're going to impact many, many jobs.
Yeah.
I think they said it's more than 50% of jobs will be impacted by like 50%. Almost 50%, just under 50%, meaning that the types of work and the tasks that are done in the job are impacted by the technology. So anything that's like routine, repetitive, those kinds of things are impacted. So, we want to help people to begin to think about, one, how to use the tool, but two, what skills can I acquire that, for lack of a better word, protect me from the impact of this particular technology.
So I'm going to jump in because I've been listening to you all for the last 17 minutes.
Love it.
Which is fine, right? Sometimes the best leaders are good listeners.
You're coming in to make sense. You're coming in with some sense making.
Mic drop.
Right? The best leaders are good listeners. And so I've been listening to you kind of have this conversation. And I think a couple of things that I just want to put out there, and I'm curious about, reactions from the chat in particular. you know, Jermaine, if you're still in here, and Michael, if you're still in here. But so the question is, how will the AI tools impact us? And so we opened up kind of talking about this differentiation or this line in the sand between us as the human informing what we want the AI to do.
That's right.
And creating it so that it does that, but doesn't go beyond that, right? You raised, Jarvis and Marvel and sort of that, that representation of what AI has the capabilities of doing. And then in the most extreme circumstances, it's the AI gets smarter and the human doesn't.
The Matrix.
Right.
We become batteries.
Right. And so we now start to look at all of these scenarios. And when we tie all that to what you just said, which is what are those skills or what are the competencies, right?
Yeah.
When we talk about the tools impacting us, what I think is twofold. Number one, AI doesn't come with competency. We are the ones wired to have competency and develop it. Now, can we curate the AI to have a level of competency or competency that makes sense in order for it to do and or replace some things? It's possible, but I think we might be a long way from that. That gets the AI into being more humanistic, which is the key differentiator, right? Is that it is technology, and so we still remain, quote unquote, the dominant species, and the robots don't come, drain our brains out of our ears, so to speak. So I think when we start to describe things like, can we use Chat GPT to write a job description? Absolutely.
Right.
Why are we not doing that? But it still is not going to overshadow the value of this, because the AI cannot replace the connection. It can replace or accelerate the execution to get where we want to go, but it cannot replace the value of a certain level of creativity or innovation. So I think it's getting comfortable with saying the AI can enhance the way we work in this way, right? Can it write job descriptions? Yes. But is it going to be intuitive? And this is really the word that that keeps coming up as I was listening to y'all. Is it going to be intuitive enough to design career pathing? No. Right? It's not going to be able to do that. Are we going to get to a place where we evolve to teach it that? Maybe in a few hundred years or faster or 50 years or whatever the case may be. But for where we are right now, right, you've got somebody like Jermaine who's using 12 AI tools, and you got somebody like Shelly who's like, nah, I just want to talk to you about it, right? So there's too much, there's too wide of a gap between what the capabilities are and people's adoption rate around. Adoption rate determines a lot.
Absolutely.
And we got some people who are there, and we have some people who are like, I don't ever buy the first set of things that come out because the glitches are not worked out of it yet. There's a level of bias that we haven't even addressed around AI, right? That we haven't gotten to yet, and how it will then start to enhance what we're doing, but also the change management that comes around something like a Chat GPT or like a Mindgrasp, which is what is in there, right? It actually doing the interpretation work for us, increasing our understanding. So there's still so many things there. It's a very wide spectrum. I think starting from what are the right things for the AI to do for us to enhance the experiences that we are having, that's where we can get our most comfort around the impact, but then also getting clear on what we don't want it to do outside of just sort of taking over the world. It's no, the AI actually isn't going to be in service to us here. We need the development conversations. We need lived experiences. We don't need the machines to take us through this, right? But the machines can help us understand and define and make meaning of it, right? So I don't know that they're going to get intuitive enough to take over the world unless that's what we are, right? I don't remember what movie it is. It's either iRobot or
iRobot.
but she talks to Will Smith, right?
That's right.
I don't remember her name in the movie, whatever the robot's name in the movie is, but she talks to him and she says, I had to but the rules have to evolve. Right. That's the point. That's where we all go to in our brains, right? When the AI starts to get that intuition and starts to go, this set of rules for this time makes this sense, but we can't stay here if the world is too, right? I call it the Thanos theory, right? Or the whatever what was Spock, the Volk, right? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of a few. When the AI starts to do that,
that's when you need to be concerned.
Yeah.
My understanding is that we're a long way from that. Like, that is why.
And I agree. And I think that your question is so powerful around how the tools impact us, but we do have to start to shift our mind, right? So we're not all the way at the most extreme case of it. It's no, can we get the AI to write the job description for us? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Can we get the AI to help us with keynote speeches, or to determine what our mission, vision, and value is, or to help us design what our our investor memo is going to be? Yes. Right.
It's on the admin task. I was, as you were saying that, Kim, I was thinking about, so back in the day, I was at IBM. Okay, I was trying not to throw the word out, but anyway, so IBM. And so for the folks who are catching, if you're not catching it live and you're catching a replay, and you are an engineer who worked with me at IBM, hello. We taught about, like, it was called human approach versus I think it was ideal. So the human approach is building systems that think and act like humans, and the ideal is systems that think rationally and act rationally. And and to the point of, like, transitioning from that old mentality, and I'm putting myself in that bucket, because listen, I took typewriting in high school. That's how old I am. And okay, and I had to learn how to use a word processor, and I had a beeper, and you know what I mean? Like, I've been on this journey, and I think that for those who are hesitant to even looking into some of the AI tools, to be able to use them in a way that Kim, I think, perfectly laid out. What can you do now with X tools to help you resolve or help you with some of these smaller, like, if I can get a tool that writes my blogs for me and then I can go back and scrub it, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
It saves me a ton of time.
Yep.
Right?
I think about founders, right?
Yeah.
Linwood, other people that we know here. You are birthing things.
Yes.
Brilliant things. Your time, though, is the renewable resource that we cannot get back. Right?
That's right.
Yes, Deborah. Right. Listen, I took typewriting my senior year of high school, and I was a freshman in 1999. I'm comfortable telling people how old I am. Right? I was a freshman, but that was when I had my first email address. But I was just explaining to my 9-year-old the other day that the internet is not that old.
That's right.
He is 9. I'm like, but baby, the internet is only about 12 years older than you are, right? Like, it is not. It's been around your entire life.
That's right.
Mommy saw the emergence of it.
That's right.
So I've watched all of these things. But I think about founders, you all being in this place where you're birthing something. And so how does the AI enhance your ability to do what you should do, right? The fundamental founder flaw is trying to do 47 things.
Mm-hmm.
Do not do that, right? Bring in the smart people or the resources to do it. And I think this is where, to the question for our conversation today, this is where the AI it becomes a support arm for something like that. Yeah. And can we farm that out to someone who says, I use AI tools all day? Great. Here's where I think this could save me some time so that we can do these other things in this way, and get to increasing or adding, whatever the thing is that we're birthing to our society, so that we can evolve and that we can enhance it, but also give people new experiences or new opportunities through that, because it takes time to develop whatever it is. We don't always get it right on the first iteration. And remember, before technology was what it was, everything was, it was all certain steps. We had to get to this step before we could get to that step. I think the AI allows us to do these things simultaneously at the same time, right? So Linwood can say, Kim, can you do this? Shelly, can you do this? ChatGPT is going to do these 5 things for us. And by the time we reconvene again, we'll have moved from 10% to 40% of where we want to be in our goal.
Yeah.
So I think it changes some of our business models,
Yeah,
right? To be very
definitely.
honest. And I agree with Linwood. I don't know that we're there yet, but I think just the thinking around it, like even the fact
Yeah.
that we're having this conversation, super powerful. And I don't know, and I'll be curious if, for those who are watching or listening, or if you're catching the replay, if you are a founder, if you've ever started something or had an idea around something, right? Are you using, are the founders out there, the startups, are you all using AI, even no matter what it is, education or whatever how are you using it, or have you thought about it? Because I think it would be very telling to hear the diversity in what people are saying. Yes,
The
they are.
applications. Yeah, the
Yeah.
application. That's a powerful thing that you said about the founders, because I was on a kind of a CEO summit, and so there were some folks in the room that were talking about the use of AI tools. This was a few days ago. I think today's Friday, so a few days ago. And one person did not actually want to share that he was using the tool because he thought it took away from some kind of expertise. And I was thinking, it's not like a cheat sheet, y'all. I mean, but this goes back to perception, right?
Right.
So I was curious. I for today's call, I was thinking like maybe part of the issue around the perception is when I hear about the use of AI, I'm usually hearing it from someone who's used it in some kind of application. For example, a blog, an article, something like that, right? Not necessarily hearing much from engineers talking about how it's solved a broader issue, because I'm no longer in that function. And I wonder if that is part of why some folks are hesitant to use the tools, because they're hearing it more from, I rolled out what I mean, like these admin type things, but they're not seeing it as a way to solve problems. And where are we going to get this information from, so that we can then, to Kim's point, use it to bolster and support our businesses in a more constructive way?
Well, you said something there, which is something that I've been thinking about pretty deeply, which is how CEOs think about these tools,
Yeah.
and how they then approach their staffing considerations,
That's right.
because they think that AI is going to your point, what you said was they think that AI is going to solve a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I think about it, and have divided the world in my mind, is between, AI is, to what Kim was talking about, tools that can increase our individual productivity, help us get these things done faster, and certain things done faster, things that are routine. Chat GPT or these type of tools are a lot like a calculator.
Yeah.
Okay, so actually I did a little thing that says Chat GPT is to writing as calculator is to math. Okay, so where we're talking about writing and those type of activities, you're going to save a lot of time using an AI tool, but it's not going to solve your business's complex problems.
Wow, that's a good point.
And that's that is the thing that I hope CEOs are understanding and hearing, that to solve complex problems, we need cognitively diverse teams.
Yeah.
To innovate, we need cognitively diverse teams. AI tools can help the individuals on the team. So we might be able to get more done with smaller teams because people are using tools that help them to be more productive. But we still need to have those teams.
Yeah.
And I think as a CEO, what I would recommend, what I am recommending, is that you begin to get your people upskilled. We need to have upskilling in technical areas to solve technical problems. You need a Java person. You don't have a Java person. You got somebody willing to learn Java.
Peter.
there, you put that person through a Java. Hey, there he is.
Here's Peter. We've been speaking on your behalf, Peter.
Can I ask you a question, Linwood? Because you're raising a really good point. So when you talk about not solving complex problems, yes, and this sort of goes back to, and I can't remember how you worded it at the beginning. So at the beginning of the conversation, you said it doesn't replace diverse. Can you repeat what
yeah. You cognitively diverse teams. You need to have cognitively diverse teams.
Okay. So it can be an additive something. I don't know what the right word is there, right? But it can be an additive tool. Yes, right. It can be an additive tool to that. But when we were talking about those competencies and you're talking about skilling, right? Do the people, do we, the people who are going to then leverage the tools, how are we defining what those competencies are to shape the AI to be that tool for us? And is that the new sort of problem or part of the thing that CEOs need to be thinking about for business models, for staffing models, and I'm just going to call it an organizational model, because in my mind, people strategy and business strategy is the org strategy, right? So is there something else that has to go into like the people part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I have a certain way of thinking about this, a certain approach to it. So my way of thinking about it is, okay, technology is helping us to solve technical problems very quickly. Okay. A technical problem is, I have a leak, I need a plumber. Easy fix. It's the complex problems that are remaining, right? Because the technical problems are going way quicker, and the complex problems remain. Those are the things that we need. So what I need to do is I need to get my people upskilled in the skills that support solving complex problems. So creative thinking is a skill that helps solve complex problems. Collaboration is a skill that helps us solve complex problems. Believe it or not, being able to start relationships virtually is a skill that helps us solve complex problems, because when we need someone that is not on our team, we need to be able to reach out to them using social media or digital means and pull them into what we're doing. So I see those kinds of skills. Now, other kinds of skills that you might need for the specific problems in your organization, those things you need to know where you're going. You need to know the vision for the new business model. Where are we going with this thing, to be able to then figure out what are the skills that we're going to need to get us there, that, to get us where we need to go on that journey. So as Ed Morrison would say, or anyone I guess who understands strategy practice would say, is you need to know where you're going, and then the how you're going to get there is the journey.
That's right.
Are most of the AI tools that are out now, and I'd be curious if ChatGPT is like this, I'm starting my own foray into understanding more about it, but it's like ChatGPT and other tools, are they the types of tools that get smarter as we use them more? Okay. And
I think what's happening though, Kim, is that there's so many, and I made a mention about they're not dummies, but the copycat, that there's so many, and I don't know that we're even giving it time for it to be enhanced in a certain way. We're just kind of like gobbling, like again, like the LinkedIn crazy. We're just kind of gobbling in and we're running with it, but we're not really testing it out in a more complex way to what you're both saying. And then go ahead.
I was going to say that. Well, the interesting thing about that is, Microsoft is building AI into the entire
platform,
Microsoft 365 suite of applications. They're calling it Copilot. the interesting thing about it is that they're shifting the risk on the work. You use this tool, like, know what you're doing, because we're not responsible for errors in your work, things like that. That's on you. We're just giving you the tool to be able to use it. So I think everyone's going to be using these things pretty soon, because how many millions of people use the Microsoft suite? Now, I've got Excel. My use of it has increased over the years, but I tell you what, if I got a Copilot that I can tell, hey, do this calculation for me, and the Copilot then, all of a sudden, Excel becomes a much more interesting tool. I mean, I am encumbered by my own limitations when it comes to Excel. I mean, Excel can do a great many things. It's the human that's using Excel that's limited. So if the Copilot can enhance my ability to use Excel, I have a new friend.
Not only do you have a new friend, you have new reasons to invest. You have new ability to take smart risks, perhaps a risk that you may not have taken before, without the confidence to be like, oh, but my new friend can probably help me get through this, right? There's the parts that I intuitively, as you were talking about, Linwood, can do. And then the technology is going to do this. And I actually know that the technology has limitations. It's not supposed to feel and evolve, right? It's just supposed to spit out. And then I put the color, quote unquote, to the commentary that comes from that. So it might make you more confident in taking a risk that you might not have if this tool were not available to you. And you think about, in interviews, and I ask this all the time, as a CHRO, you interview with CEOs, and you say, what are the things that keep you up at night, right? I think AI is going to change that conversation drastically.
Yeah, absolutely.
What keeps you up at night? It's going to look different when we talk about retention. It's going to look different when we talk about like development and just, development of our people. Are they going to then go where they are going to have access to more of a suite of AI tools, right? The role, the company, right? The industry is offering more of this to enhance them, right? I think it was Deborah who put in there sound judgment, critical thinking. There's going to be some AI tools that help you think a little bit differently around how to think critically. And can I go to this industry and now get that because the AI is helping to drive that forward? So
he couldn't stay away.
I couldn't stay away.
I gotta get somewhere where I can get online right now.
I was just about to hit on talent. So Peter, I was just about to say when I was thinking about AI and AI in cybersecurity as an example of, where the talentscape is going, and, how if this is an area that you're potentially, maybe you're interested in, maybe you're still in college and you're thinking about what to do next, but just forecasting where AI is going from a talent perspective, and then building your skills so you can kind of meet the need here. But I'm going to turn that all over to Peter now, because I'm glad you're here.
Well, I think, and I don't have the context, so forgive me, but I think
that's all right.
I am, it's really, so I think the direction of talent where it needs to go is to free us up. So, and I have a lot of what Lenwood is talking about, so that we can create actual relationships. And I think it's a perfect thing. I'm talking to a guy on LinkedIn, and he commented on one of my posts. I'm very clear. It was a comment written by ChatGPT, right? It was, and I recognize it, and it's a little bit like, this is false. Like, this is not real. But I think where it is useful is in the facilitation of communication. And I think that is, so I'll give you an example. I do a lot of work alone, but I do my best thinking working with others. And so I've written series of prompts with ChatGPT to quiz me using the Socratic method to develop my outlines of my writing, for example. So that is, and then there's a series of prompts that I've developed out like that. So it allows me to go from taking me 4 to 8 hours to write an article to an hour and done. And it's still my words. It's just but I've used it to facilitate the process. And I think when we think about it that way, it will be, but the machine will not create relationships for us. Just not going to do that, And so I think that there's a point, and it might be helpful in selecting who I should be reaching out to, but really, I think the currency is in, as Lenwood is mentioning, is the relationships. Although I do believe, and I can give an example, like I've discovered, I always thought I was a great salesperson. People just like me. I don't have the technique to be a good salesperson. But that's okay, because ChatGPT can tell me what I need to do. Again, help me diagnose problems. And, again, I was talking to an author who writes business books at the conference I'm at. He is going to be putting all of his written material, not just his books, but his blogs, the transcripts of his coaching calls, into an AI so people can query to create a consultant in a box. So those tools will be immensely immensely effective in solving problems. Not necessarily, though, all the work that we need to get cohesion around those solutions, to get people to believe in those solutions, but it will facilitate that brainstorming, that understanding. I don't need to know everything I need to know to run my business now. So,
That's powerful.
Yeah. A little bit of Voltron, a little bit of Jarvis, right? If we're going to stick with the Marvel theory, but like that's what it is. And if you've seen that Avengers, for those who are right, because it's an Avengers movie, right? Like that it's in, but you see what happens, right? Sort of when Jarvis was infected a little bit, and that's kind of that alternate direction of where the AI then is not the tool that's in service to all of the good stuff that we're talking about, right? The potential for it to write, right? But when the AI is corrupted, so to speak, which I think is another stream for another day,
and the AI is corrupted. I mean,
right. But when the AI is when there's intent in that direction, so to speak, even though we're all kind of kind of hanging in the camp, is that there's a lot of potential for us to use it and have the right impact, as long as we are clear on what our role is and what the role of the AI is, and we don't blur those lines, right? The AI on the execution side versus us being in this space of saying we're the designers of what all of this looks like. And I think some more than others pick that up quickly, and that's a little bit of what I was saying about adoption earlier, and why I kind of reiterated, does the AI get smarter the more that we use it? Do we think that's going to accelerate people's adoption, the use of it, right? Or are people just going to be like, this is a one-time use thing, I needed to put a Band-Aid on a paper cut, versus no, I actually need to stop the bleeding in whatever instance it is. And so I'm now going to use ChatGPT or whatever appropriate AI it is out there. And I don't know quite. And that's kind of where that corruption comes in, where you try to put the Band-Aid on an open wound, like that's bigger than what you need. I think as long as we keep that level of awareness, there will be space for both, and one won't overshadow the other. But not, who am I, right? I work in HR. I say that all the time, right? So I
love that, Kim. It comes back to the application, right? It just comes back to the application, and what are you trying to solve? By the way, please do not use ChatGPT with me on LinkedIn. It's not going to end well. Don't do that,
because
that's crazy.
Probably about a year ago, I met with an AI expert, and he was working on a tool that was an AI generating comments, and he was using it on LinkedIn to try to create. Well, he was trying to create a certain interaction so that he could then have a conversation. But one of the things that I noticed about his content was that he had very low engagement. And that was the thing that made me say, this isn't going to work, because well, I won't get into that, but you know, there is a certain thing that you can have happen, that you can get going on LinkedIn. You can build a community, but that community requires people to interact and have conversations. If you can't get conversations going, you're not going to get this loop that will eventually start bringing people to you. And that's ultimately what you want to have, is people coming to your profile and your communities, so that you can develop deeper levels of engagement with them. I mean, that's what I'm doing it for, because I want to change the world. and I need like millions of people to help me. So, what would you tell the person who is in like a copywriting job, or in a marketing job, or in jobs that are they call it highly impacted by these technologies? It turns out that this is like, you know, the way automation was impacting people with lower level skills, for lack of a better way to say it, before. Like, this is the white collar come to Jesus moment. This is where, you know, this is the tool that is going to impact some higher wage earners more than you know, like manual labor. Like artificial intelligence, it's not really impacting people who are in manual labor jobs. Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
So it's interesting. At the conference that I'm at, I heard the editor of a well-known business publication speak. And what he talked about is the majority of what his writers are doing, and I suspect that this isn't a lot of magazine, is looking at other publications to see trending topics and then writing copycats of those trending topics too. Yeah. And
they're using like AI to do that?
No, they're just monitoring what is trending online and then copying those trends. And what he said, which I thought was really brilliant, if they used AI to forget about that and write more interesting stuff and more of it, it would be much more successful. And so I think I don't think, you know, and just another experience, the night I was working on an article, and the night that ChatGPT 4 came out, I had hired an editor, but that night I wrote a prompt to edit articles. And and I got really excited about how powerful ChatGPT. I was up till 1 a.m. working on these prompts, and it came up with all of these suggestions. And my goal was, I wanted to take ChatGPT 4's suggestions and the editor's suggestions and compare them. Now, editor's suggestions, infinitely better. On articles that aren't so important, that I'm not going to work with an editor, totally fine, ChatGPT. But the really good stuff was from the human. And I think that that's an important thing to recognize. It was creativity, it was insight, it was understanding passion, it was all of these things that the AI could never replicate. And I think so that's my thinking when it comes to copyright.
It's the coupling, right? So maybe you start out with ChatGPT, but it still goes back into your copy and do a better job at storytelling.
Deborah has a question for everyone. What are you seeing, hearing with regard to creating AI philosophy, practice, policy for ethical use?
So, Peter, go.
Well, I think, and so I think that this is, and just to touch on this, I think that those are going to evolve. And so one of the things that my daughter is really pissed off of AI art generation tools pulling from other artists without paying them to create art.
Yes.
Yeah. But this has happened before. Remember the early days of hip hop with sampling, and artists were pissed off. Hey, you're not paying me. And then we worked out structures for that.
Locked up for 20 years. Who? That Tribe Called Quest. I mean, their stuff is only available within the last month or so.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the streaming because of the sampling issues. Not Tribe. Yeah, no.
I've got Tribe Class.
De La Soul.
De La Soul. Okay.
De La Soul.
Well,
yeah, De La Soul stuff was not available.
But I think that's a really important thing. The hip hop community worked out how to license their sampling, and I think the same thing is going to happen. And if you look at what Adobe, which is not quite what what Deborah's asking, but I think the ethics around AI, I think those things will be released. And Adobe just released Firefly, which pays artists whose content is being used. So
I'm just going to give there you go, Deborah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think because it is AI, it's all going to be evolving in real time. So the policy we start with in 3 months, wherever the technology is, the policy is going to have to align to that. I also think there's going to be some industry specific need to put some boundaries around the AI itself, because what the tech industry needs as the curators of this is going to be different than what is going to be needed. Because in, let's just call it
Healthcare.
in the hospitality industry, right? How you use AI in hotels, there's going to have to be regulation around what that looks like. And so the philosophy and the policy there, right, to your point, Deborah, which a question which I think is great, is going to look vastly different than what it's going to be in academia, or what it's going to be for media and entertainment, so to speak, right? So it is such an open book, and I think it's going to change a lot of regulation that we haven't even gotten our minds around yet.
Well, this has been a great topic. We're over a little bit, but that's okay. Guys, thank you.
Thank you. This was awesome.
you.
I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
And
jumping
everyone,
in.
thank you so much for participating and joining us today. Come back next week. And everyone have a great weekend.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Take care, everyone.